September 9th is just around the corner, and it is the big date that we know we're going to be getting some news from Marvel and Star Wars for the video game side of things. I will, of course, be doing a live show for that, so make sure you're subscribed and you have your notifications turned on. Cheap plug out of the way, but the most exciting thing that I am looking forward to is a potential update to Marvel's Spider-Man. Today, we're going to go on ahead and discuss everything that we know up until this moment. So I've gone ahead and culminated all the details. You're literally going to have anything and everything that you need to know about this game. You will find out from this video. And if I missed out on something, some way, drop it in the comment section below. And of course, hopefully on September 9th, we'll get another update. What do we know? Well, let's go on ahead and keep this nice and organized. Let's begin first and foremost by who is developing the game. Yes, this game will still be developed by Insomniac, which is awesome news, assuming that you enjoyed the two previous games, because the same team that worked on the two last games continues to go on ahead and develop this one. So no concerns there that they've suddenly gone ahead and Arkham Origins this thing and went out and gave it to a different team, even though, again, I actually do like Arkham Origins. But I know a lot of people didn't like when the Batman Arkham franchise went away from Rocksteady and was given to a different development crew. So no worries there. Insomniac Games is still at the helm of this thing, and they will be the developers. Next, let's go on ahead and talk about release. Now, this is where things are going to get a little bit more controversial, and I'm sure there will be some people that are upset. I want to say deservedly so, but I also can't really, because I think that it's about time that we step into the next generation. Now, what am I talking about? Let's talk about platforms. What will this game be available on? So this game will be releasing on the PlayStation 5 exclusively. That means that there will not be a port of this game to the PS4. I do think that there's a possibility that this game will be released on the PC, especially when you look at how successful Marvel's Spider-Man on PC has been. And we know they're going to be releasing Miles Morales on the PC as well. And I'm assuming that maybe within 2 years or so, so will Marvel's Spider-Man 2. So again, I know a lot of people are like, hey, I can't find one of the next-gen consoles. I can't afford one of the next-gen consoles. And I think all of those things are obviously valid experiences. But I also think that at some point, we have to take this step as a gaming community into the next console cycle, because if we always keep 1 foot back in the previous cycle, we cannot have the very best games. We cannot have the very best experiences because they will always be dumbed down by the existing hardware. Next, when will this game actually be releasing? Well, the very first trailer for this game, which dropped on September 9th, 2021, actually revealed a date at the very end of the trailer, and that was 2023, which would imply that we'll be getting to play this game sometime next year. My guess is probably in the fall, assuming that it doesn't get delayed. Fall, winter time is when we will be getting to swing through beautiful New York City as both Miles and Peter Parker's Spider-Man. So next, let's talk about the voices that bring these characters to life. Yes, indeed, both Yuri Lowenthal and Najee Jeter will be returning to reprise their roles as our Spider-Mans. So, of course, you will have both Miles coming back and Peter Parker coming back. Same voice actors as we have seen before. I'm assuming they will stick to the new character model of Peter Parker, even though some people don't really like it, including myself. I do prefer the previous one over the new redesign, but that's a whole nother can of worms. And the most exciting thing that I feel like a lot of people are not actually talking about is the fact that Tony Todd is going to be playing Venom.
We are Venom.
Yes, you heard that right. This dude has got such a freaking epic voice. Of course, he's very much known for his acting in Candyman, but he's done a lot of voice acting as well. He's been Darkseid on countless occasions. He's a very, very, very prolific voice actor. So it's very exciting to have him portray Venom. I think that's going to be awesome. And if you had any doubts, here's another clip. The next thing we're going to talk about is co-op. Or will this game actually have co-op? Now, I know for some people it's like, why is this even a question? It's a single player game, etc. So have been the previous two games. Why would we bring this up? Well, it's really because of the way that the trailer was framed. It seemed like both Spider-Mans were appearing in combat sequences, and they certainly did seem to appear in tandem. And so that got a lot of people going about whether or not there would be co-op in this game. And this is probably the most divisive thing that is currently, I guess, engulfing the community around this game, is that some people love the idea, some people absolutely hate the idea of including co-op for this particular title. I kind of sit somewhere in the middle of the two, and let me explain. Well, first and foremost, obviously the trailer got people going. Then, just recently, we saw this username on Twitter go on ahead and reveal that they were able to locate some of the back-end files of the PC port of the game that goes on ahead and points out some interesting things that seem to indicate that there is some type of a multiplayer mode in the game, that there is some sort of indication of two players being active at the same time. So that got everybody riled up because everyone said, well, if it's in the PC port, maybe those files were originally in Marvel Spider-Man as well. And does this go on then and indicate that maybe there's a multiplayer mode that even gets added into the PC ports of these games, etc.? I think the answer lies somewhere in the middle. And the reason for that is because Ryan Schneider, who is the Insomniac head of franchise strategy, has actually gone ahead on record and said the following. He said, "We're so thrilled to continue the journey of both Peter Parker and Miles Morales in their most epic single-player adventure yet." So I'll repeat that last part. Single-player adventure yet. That implies that, of course, the main experience that we'll be going through in this particular game is actually going to be single player. However, fear not, for those of you that do want a co-op mode, I think that's what it will be, is that it will be a mode in addition to the main story. So whether it be some sort of set of challenges, kind of like the Taskmaster missions, or maybe some sort of actual like side quests, or maybe an entire like separate mode, I do think that this game will feature some sort of a co-op element. However, I think the main story will still play as a single player focused adventure. So next, let's talk about villains, or confirmed villains. And this should be a pretty short list. In fact, it's a list of one, Venom. That's pretty much the only concrete confirmed villain for this particular project. That is all we know. However, as the community goes on ahead and speculates, it does seem like the voice that we hear at the very beginning,
"For as long as I can remember, I have looked for an equal,"
of the first trailer that we got, does seem to go on ahead and fit very well with a certain hunter, a certain Kraven the Hunter. And so it does seem to indicate that Kraven the Hunter is probably going to be featured in this particular game as well, in addition to Venom. So those are two kind of, one 100% confirmed villain, the other 70% confirmation for the people out there that doubt that it ends up being Kraven the Hunter. The other thing I do want to bring up that gives this even more credence is the fact that Ryan Schneider, when he was doing that interview before, did go on ahead and say the following. He says that the trailer teased merely just a glimpse of what's in store in terms of new abilities for our heroes will acquire, the suits that they will wear, and the villains that will hunt them down, which is very, very interesting because, of course, the use of the word hunt, there really is one synonymous character when it comes to Spider-Man that goes on ahead and hunts, and that would be Kraven. In fact, his most famous comic book storyline is called Kraven the Last Hunt. So I really think that that was a bit of an additional tease that Kraven would be included in this. Speaking of that quote, let's transition to powers and suits. As you can see, this kind of also goes on ahead and gives us some information about the idea that they will indeed get some new powers. I'm guessing for both of our heroes, it will most likely involve more on the gadget side of things, because I think that's where you can really innovate things. It would be kind of weird if they just introduce like brand new powers to them. Now, of course, let's frame everything in this game with the idea that if either Peter or Miles or both do get possessed by the symbiote, that then will also grant you the ability to do a bunch of new stuff in terms of gameplay. So with the caveats in place there, it does seem like there will be some overhaul of the power set. So don't worry if you're like, oh, it's just going to feel like it's the same game again. It does seem like powers are getting a rework, suits are going to be aplenty, and the interesting thing is also, once again, the theme of the villains hunting down our heroes. So it looks like in the first two games, for the most part, both Peter's game and Miles's game, you were kind of on the offensive, like you were going after the villains. It seems like maybe this game will kind of flip that dynamic on its head and force our heroes to actually go on the defensive as they are the ones being hunted down. And thematically, it'll be really interesting to see if there will be some sort of a team-up element between Kraven and Venom. So for the last little bit of speculation here for this video, because I had such a blast putting this thing together, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, by the way. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the thumbs up button. You can also support the channel by grabbing some merch. Thank you so very much for those of you that have been picking up the new Blitzwinger hats. You guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you for your support. Now, a little bit of speculation here is that I have a feeling like Kraven is going to serve the same purpose as Martin Lee did in the first game, where as you play through the game, you kind of think to yourself, oh, Martin Lee really is like the main villain. And then when you get to the third act, that's when the big twist kind of occurs. Spoiler alert. And it is actually Dr. Otto Octavius who rises to be the leader of the Sinister Six. And he is the one that you realize is kind of the ultimate bad guy of the game. And so I think that we might have a similar dynamic in this game where Kraven the Hunter will be the villain that you go up against first, and then maybe Venom is the one that rises to a more prominent position. Now, you could also flip-flop the two and say that it could be the other way around, where Venom seems to be your villain initially, and then it actually turns out to be Kraven the Hunter, whom you defeat at the end. Let me know down in the comment section below what you would love to see, what kind of theories you have down in the comment section below. Have an absolutely fantastic day. Peace out. See you later, alligators.
It's pretty cool that I'm alive and have better days. I could walk, see, hear, I should celebrate. Think I could change my mind, maybe elevate. Living life, every day, late at night, not okay. All I want